Good evening. This is Felicity. I'm speaking to you from my library. Here I am in my beautiful library, and today I thought I might actually just have a chat about what I'm reading, what I'm planning to read, what I've just finished reading, what I'm working on, and also a little something about what I think of in my mind as the difference between slow reading and fast reading. So I'm reading three things slowly right now. They are, you've seen it in some of my pictures on Instagram because I'm going through them quite slowly. I'm reading Joseph Campbell's The Hero with a Thousand Faces. Worth reading slowly because it's phenomenal. It is chock-a-block full of everything that he thought about, that he did. He's got all of his stories in there. He talks about the combination of myth with various religious things that he had been thinking about all his life, and he kind of pulls it all together in this book. It's a very nice thing to read after The Masks of God, which I read last year. So this is one of three books that I'm currently slow reading. I'll read an excerpt from each one because they're kind of important to me right now. The other one that I'm reading slowly is the Essays of Montaigne. It was the pretty little book that I picked up not too long ago. This is still volume 2, and I find that Montaigne reads slowly very well because, except for the Apology de Raymond Sebon, they are all short essays. Each one has a theme, although they get a little off track sometimes. They are manageable in one go. Some are very, very short. And again, I've got a little excerpt from this one just because I think it represents what Montaigne is doing right. Slow reading is kind of like slow eating and slow cooking. Sometimes you just need to stand back and take thought, take time. The third one is a wonderful book by Johann Huizinga, who wrote a fabulous The Waning of the Middle Ages, which is a really great historical work. Homo Ludens is actually a little bit more philosophical. It's talking about, well, Homo Ludens, the man at play. And he, again, pulls in a lot of things that he thought about, just as Montaigne did. And he talks about them sometimes practically and sometimes very philosophically. I'm going to start with my three slow reading books, and I've picked a couple of little bits that I wanted to share with you all this evening. This, having gone through play and war, I just got to this morning. Play and poetry, and I thought this totally rang a bell with me. It just resonated right there, all the way down to the bottom. So he's talking about the essence of play, and play is not just like, oh, let's go have fun and swing on the swings and slide on the slides. Play is something that you do as a human being, essentially, that can lead to death, can lead to all kinds of things. It is not a toy. It is not to be taken lightly, but it is real. So Huizinga says here in Play and Poetry, in touching on the origins of Greek philosophy and its connection with the sacred contest in knowledge and wisdom, we inevitably touch the shadowy borderline between the religious or philosophical mode of expression and the poetic. It is therefore desirable to inquire into the nature of poetic creation. This question is, in a sense, at the heart of any discussion of the relations between play and culture. For while in the more highly organized forms of society, religion, science, law, war, and politics gradually lose touch with play, so prominent in the earlier phases, he does mention that in the earlier part of the book quite a bit, so prominent in the earlier phases, the function of the poet still remains fixed in the play sphere where it was born. Poesis, in fact, is a play function. It proceeds within the playground of the mind in a world of its own, which the mind creates for it. There, things have a very different physiognomy from the one they wear in ordinary life, and are bound by ties other than those of logic and causality. If a serious statement be defined as one that may be made in terms of waking life, poetry will never rise to the level of seriousness. It lies beyond seriousness, on that more primitive and original level where the child, the animal, the savage, and the seer belong, in the region of dream, enchantment, ecstasy, laughter. To understand poetry, we must be capable of donning the child's soul like a magic cloak and of forsaking man's wisdom for the child's. Nobody has grasped or expressed the primordial nature of poetry and its relation to pure play more clearly than Vico more than 200 years ago. So this is the beginning of the chapter on play and poetry, and every single page in Huizinga's Homo Ludens is worth taking some time and thinking about. So I call this slow reading. I had two other excerpts. One is very short. This is from Joseph Campbell's The Hero with 1,000 Faces, where Joseph Campbell brings in wonderful stories. It's full of it. I was actually trying to find the one on the Buddha and the immovable spot, and I couldn't. It was just like I just kept finding all these other things that I'd read that I just was delightful. So I found a very short little clip that demonstrates for me what Campbell is all about here. He brings in a story which seems very simple and very charming, and then he starts talking about it, and you see how he's bringing it in and making it work with all of the other ideas that he has. This is completely, he's completely brought all of his ideas together. It's like been simmering in this big pot for a long time, and it's cooked, it's fully boiled. So I love this. I got the big picture books last year also, and those are really fun to look at, and those do have all the stories in them too. But this is actually, it says, here's the story, and now here's what's going on in it. So this is a very short one. This is from the chapter called the section called Apotheosis. The story is told of a Confucian scholar who besought the 28th Buddhist patriarch, Bodhidharma, to pacify his soul. Bodhidharma retorted, "Produce it, and I will pacify it." The Confucian replied, "That is my trouble. I cannot find it." Bodhidharma said, "Your wish is granted." The Confucian understood and departed in peace. A little story, something to think about, something to read again and remember slowly and think about and cogitate and ruminate. Wonderful. So the last slow reading is from the Essays of Montaigne, and after you wade through Apology for Raymond Sebond, which was very long, and it was fascinating because, again, Montaigne is bringing in all of these things that he thought about. He rewrote the essays countless times, and brought what he had been thinking about more and more into some kind of coherence in his mind, however that was. But then he would have these little short ones that just plucked out of nowhere. This is one. I like this one. A little short and sweet. How our mind is hindered by itself. And right there you can stop and say, yeah, do I get in my way all the time or what? Anyway, there you go. How our mind is hindered by itself. It is an amusing fancy to imagine a mind exactly balanced between two similar desires, for it is indubitable that it will never make a choice, because comparison and selection imply inequality of value. And if we were placed between the bottle and the ham, with equal appetite for drink and food, there would be, doubtless, no help save to die of thirst and hunger. To be prepared for this mishap, the Stoics, when they are asked whence comes in our soul the choosing between two not differing things, and what that reason is, from a large number of crowns we take one rather than another, all being alike, and there being nothing about them which inclines us to preference, make answer that this movement of the soul is out of the ordinary and is irregular, coming to us from an external, accidental, and fortuitous impulsion. It might rather be said, it seems to me, that nothing presents itself to us in which there is not some difference, however slight it may be, and that either to the sight or to the touch there is always something additional which attracts us, although it be imperceptibly. In like manner, if we imagine a pack thread equally strong throughout, it is more than impossible that it should break, for where would you have the fracture begin? And to break everywhere at the same moment, that is not conceivable. If one joined to all this the geometrical propositions which, by the infallibility of their demonstrations, prove the contained to be greater than the container, the center as great as its circumference, and which find two lines constantly approaching each other and never able to meet, and the philosopher's stone, and the squaring of the circle, wherein reasoning and fact are so opposed. One might perchance derive therefrom some arguments to support that bold saying of Pliny, the sole certainty is that nothing is certain, and nothing more miserable or more proud than man. Yeah. So on the other side of reading, that's what I call slow reading. I have absolutely no problem with saying I'm not done with this book, and I may not be done with this book for a while because it's worth taking some time and actually reading, maybe going back and reading some of it again, maybe thinking about that, maybe looking something up. I do a lot of looking up. On the other side of that, I have what I call fast reading. I think in another video I did, I called it Froth. So I have 3 books of Froth that flew by. That was from my last mega haul. And here they are. This turned out to be an absolute delight. This was the trilogy by Theodore Goss, and I loved it. This was not what I expected. I normally don't really care much for fantasy books that bring in a lot of characters that I know from other stories or from real life. In this case, it was mostly characters from other stories. So this brings in, this was the last one. This is the first one was The Alchemist's Daughter. And the second one was the big fat one, was the European Travel, Monstrous Gentlewoman, which was really good. And the last one was the Sinister Mystery of the Mesmerizing Girl. So these were taking, this was Victorian period, these were taking real characters like Queen Victoria and Napoleon and some other characters like that, but had a lot of fictitious characters. So Sherlock Holmes plays a very important part with Dr. Moriarty and his brother Mycroft and Dr. Watson and various other characters. I think, oh yeah, the girls are all the offspring, they're monstrous. They're all the offspring of the mad scientists of that period, Dr. Moreau, Dr. Jekyll, Victor Frankenstein. It was way, way cooler than I expected, and I gobbled them up. So fast reading. Can't put it down. 1, 2, 3. Big old brick, done and gone. That's it, all finished. I'll probably read them again sometime, so I'm not going to be giving them away anytime soon because they were excellent. Thank you, Theodore Goss. Very literate, very witty. There's some laugh aloud things in there, and fun to read. Okay, so that's fast reading. I have one that I just started today that I don't think is going to last too long, and that is my favorite guy, Haruki Murakami. I just picked up in the last mega haul that I had a couple Sundays ago, and I'm still enjoying looking through all my treasures that I got there. And I just started this. These are sets of short stories by Murakami, and they're absolutely delightful, and they fly by. So I always have a little stack of what I call fast reading on one side, and I have a little stack of slow reading on the other. And those two things keep me happy, keep me amused, keep me thinking and occupied. And so there you have it. I have slow reading and I have fast reading. And those are pieces of my library which give me great delight. And thank you for watching this little video. It's a short video. I make some long ones. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.